December 27th, 1993. We're in Florida, and we're going to talk a little bit about the families and a little bit about concentration camps and things like that, so that years from now, when mom and dad are gone, the kids will know what they went through, so that we can have the good life that we have today. So we started out this conversation talking about when you were born, and you were born when?
On April 14, 1922, in a city in Poland, it's called Radom.
And for the first, and I'm going to try to paraphrase some of this. Okay, for the first 8 years.
7 years.
For the first 7 years, you lived with your
grandparents. It was a custom, not that it was chased out in the house, but it was customary that the first grandchild stays with the parents. The most of the time he spends with the parents. Grandparents, I mean. So I spent the most time, with the grandparents every day. I was there, and I slept over nights, and I had a good time with them. I remember my great-grandmother. Her name was the Bubba Frandl, and she died when they say that she was 96 when she died, but the reality maybe she was 106. There was no
good longevity.
And she used to run after me, with a
Danish.
That she used to call me Surrele. I used to speak with the L. And she used to run after me. But she died, I think, when I was about 4 years old.
So you lived for the first 7 years with the Zida Loser
and the Bubba Feiget.
The Bubba Feiget. And those were?
My maternal grandparents. My mother's parents.
Okay.
And then we moved to...
and what kind of business was because Mikey's named after...
after the Zida Loser.
Okay, so we're talking about the Zida Loser. Because Mikey's named after the Zida Loser, the Zida Eliezer. Okay, who you told me had a very pious man.
A very religious, pious man.
But not a rabbi.
No, not a rabbi. A very educated man in Jewish learning.
Okay. You said he had a long gray beard with
a white beard, not just a gray, but white, like snow, with 2 points down. And a yarmulke, not the one that we wear in here, but it was a pointed yarmulke, and put it on the head, like that. And when you look at him, in Hebrew it's called a hadras punim. Means a beautiful face, an angel face, a face of a learned man.
You don't have any pictures of him, though?
No. I wish I would. There was one picture made, and he rejected his son, which was my Uncle Meyer, forced him and his wife, it's my grandma and my grandpa, to make one picture. It was hanging in the house. It was one of the most beautiful pictures you could ever see.
Do you see in any of our family, do you see any parts of the Zida Loser?
No.
Or you just can't remember that part?
I remember his face, but I cannot remember.
And what kind of business was he in?
He was in the, they used to buy skins, animal skins, raw skins, the most from sheep skins. And they processed that, and they sold this one to dealers. And the dealers sold it to furriers, which are made, coats.
And he was in business with your
my father.
Okay. And so for the first 7 years of your life, you lived there, and they were in business together.
Right.
Then your father moved.
Then my father moved, and I think it was 1928 or 1929 to Demblin. It's another little town, about 56.
And why did he move to Demblin?
Because the same as we had in this country, the depression, we called it a crisis. And first of all, it happened to my grandfather, Zida Loser. They brought a wagon with the skins, raw skins, and he climbed on the wagon. It was winter time, and he slipped, and he fell down and broke both legs. And since then, and including the crisis...
Michael, go on into the other room.
You tell me that.
Go ahead.
Including the crisis or the depression, and this what happened to him. What exactly happened, I don't know. Either they lost this whole thing, or they sold it, or they gave it up, I don't know. But my father moved to Demblin, a little town in central Poland. And he lived down there the rest of his life. And I came to Demblin, I think I was close to 7 years old, and I started school, Polish school. I couldn't understand Polish, and Poland didn't understand me either. So anyways, I went to school, and I went to the cheder.
So in those days, the Jewish school was separate from the Polish school? It was not a public school?
Yeah, it was a public school.
Yeah.
I went to a public school.
So you didn't understand Polish, though?
No, I couldn't understand Polish language.
Okay.
Because I was speaking only Yiddish.
Okay.
All the Jewish kids, the boys couldn't understand.
So I went to the Polish school, and after the school was usually from 8 till 1. After this, we went to a cheder. We just stayed in the cheder like normal until about 7 o'clock in the evening, and then I come home, had to do some homework, and had some dinner, and went to bed. Next day, the same thing.
Yeah, 1 o'clock we had dinner.
So,
and you stayed then in Rodham, and that was for... now you're in Dublin for the next 8 years.
Right.
Okay. And in that time, you were telling me how you learned the trade, or how the...
I finished school, I think about 1936, I finished school. When I finished school, like any Jewish boy, did not have a chance to go...
What age were you when you finished school?
14.
14, everybody.
Poland finishes school, it's like graduation, like they say, like in high school here, we have, at 14 we finish
14
school.
they were smart enough.
Smart enough. We learned more in the 7 years that you learned here in Bell. So I finished school. For a Jewish boy, there was no place to go to higher learning. Even I had the ability to do it, but there was no place for me.
They wouldn't let you.
The government didn't let you. Everything was closed. So I had to go learn a trade. So first of all, as a Jewish boy, the only trade that was for Jewish people was a tailor, a shoemaker, and a carpenter. Those were the 3 Jewish trades. Well, carpenter, I wasn't too crazy about it. A shoemaker, of course, for sure I wouldn't be. But I went to learn a trade, tailoring, to be a tailor. I worked for the man for 4 weeks.
This was a Jewish guy you worked for?
Yes. As a matter of fact, he survived the war.
Moshe Belt, isn't it?
Shlomo Belt. Shlomo Belt. He survived the war. He's an uncle, I think, to Genya, I think, no? Or some relations. I don't know. But anyway, he survived the war. In 4 weeks, the man said that I learned in 4 weeks more than another boy would learn in a year to know what to do with the tailoring. But I did not like this one, and I didn't want it. My father had to pay him 300 zlotys with a contract for 3 years to work for him for nothing, just to teach me the trade. But he was a very fine, honest man. He said to my father, Yankel, he will not be a tailor.
Okay.
So, no more tailoring.
No more tailoring. Then what was the next job?
The next job was I wanted to go actually in the more in the mechanical field. I was more mechanically inclined. We found a guy about 5 kilometers, about 3.5 miles from Demblin. His name was Pavlak. I remember like now. Pavlak. What? The words were the other one, Pavlak. And he had a plumbing shop. It's not a plumbing, a mechanical shop. He used to fix up farm equipment. And I was there working 2 months.
And still your father had to pay...
My father has to pay him 5 zlotys a month in order to teach me the mechanical trade. And he used to repair all kind of farm equipment, bicycles, general mechanical thing. I was very good in it.
And how long did you stay there?
2 months.
Okay, and what happened?
After 2 months, he received a contract from the 28th Regiment from the cavalry. Cavalry, some kind of a contract, a military contract. How much it was, I really don't know. It wasn't too much.
So what does the military contract have to do with you working there?
Because I was Jewish, they told him that he cannot employ a Jew in his shop.
A Jew is a
I
spy.
was 14 years old. A Jew is a spy.
And this is all before the Nazis and
Oh,
everything?
it was in 1936.
So this was Polish anti-Semitism that was
Polish.
built in?
Yes.
Exactly.
I worked for him after 2 months. He told me to stay home. You don't want to buy zlotys, he cannot keep me. He said to my father, I'm a very nice boy, I learned the trade very nicely, but you cannot keep me because they don't allow me, and then didn't allow him.
So what did you do after that then?
After this, I still do like the trade, still like the mechanical work. So my uncle Joseph, had some connections with another mechanical contractor who was in Demblin. And his name was Pibionski. And I worked, somehow he owned him money or whatever, some kind of a deal that he sort of forced him to take me, and he had 15 men working, going, all Polacks, none Jew. I was the only Jew among them all. So he did him a favor. He took me in to learn a trade without pay, but my father did not have to pay me either. And I worked, and he was very satisfied, very happy with my work, whatever I did on it. After 9 months I worked for him, he received another contract from the Air Force. It was stationed in Demblin. Some contract to be working on the airport. The same again, we go to the same thing. He could not employ me because I was Jewish. First of all, he told me to go get a Polish passport. To state, the passport stated if you are a citizen from the country, Polish country. It's not like me, if you are born, you are automatically a citizen. Over there is no such thing. You have to, has to be written down in your passport that you are a Polish citizen. I got this one, yet still the military did not want to accept this, to let a Jew working on the airport.
What other, did you see anti-Semitism like in the workplace too? Did the workers treat you different?
They were nice to me, we were talking, like friends, but yet everyone, the Jew. If I did something good, oh, it was good. They called me not by my name, they called me Moniek.
Why would they call you that?
Because this was an easy name to remember, the name Moshe. It was an easy name for them to remember. It's more, not as much to remember as to make
A little fun out of it.
fun.
Because every Jew was
A Moshe.
Moshek.
So that was down there.
Okay.
So I worked for 9 months. After 9 months,
So now
he told me the same thing.
So this
They
was
cannot
still in
keep me
Demblin now. You
in
lost
Demblin.
2 jobs because of government contract.
on account of government.
Okay. And you're how old
After
at this time?
I was for 15 years old.
Okay.
After this, there was no other alternative. There were no other mechanical contractors in Dublin. My father heard that there was a mechanical shop in Radom. His name is Bucher Potgevermacher.
Okay.
A
What was a Potgevermacher?
Potgever is a horseshoe. During the First World War, this man used to make the horseshoes. And there was another guy came into the shop, take the horseshoes and go on the market and put on the shoes on the horses. So he make him, since then he was called Bucher Potgevermacher.
What was his regular name? You don't even know.
Bucher, I think Reisman. I don't remember his other name. But anyways,
Yeah, he was Jewish.
oh yeah, he was
Okay.
Jewish.
So you could learn from him.
So finally, he had a daughter-in-law from Demblin. So in order to make connection between my father and that his daughter-in-law's father and the daughter-in-law's father, they wrote to each other and finally accepted, I'll come down and he'll give me a job, working for nothing, just to learn the trade. I worked for him, was very happy with me, and I was happy with him. After I think a year, or a half a year, I don't remember what it was, he gave me, I started with a zlot a week. 1 zloty a week. And
What did you need to feed a family then?
I
Or
didn't-
you didn't have a family.
No, I
but
didn't have a family,
What would have
but-
been considered normal?
20 zlotys a week.
Uh-huh.
You could, a couple with a child or 2 children was a nice living.
And you were getting 1 zloty a
I
week.
got 1 zloty a week.
Okay. But you were only 15 years old.
Yeah,
too.
I was 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
I worked for him, and then I want an increase. I used to go home twice a year to Denver, for Passover and for Sukkot. When I got back and I asked him for a raise, he didn't want to give me a raise. So there was another mechanical shop. His name was Yossel Reimann. I remember his name. He was a man, very nice man. He had a shop, needs somebody to help. And since I was sort of like he actually persuaded me to go work for him. And I think he gave me $2 a week. And I went to work for him. And my firstborn boss came back and said, "You'll give me the $2 too, but I had to make an arrangement with the other guy." So I promised him that, and I'll finish with him for it. This was a season. A season was a half a year. From Passover to Sukkot, from Sukkot to Passover. It was 2 seasons a year. When I'll finish the season, I'll come back to him. Well, when the season finished, I came back again I went home, and I came back, and I asked him, he said, "You know, he got a good deal for me." "What's the deal?" He has some steel beds that he bought up, a whole bunch of them. They have to be repaired. One was missing a leg, one was missing a piece of metal here, one was missing, a headboard. If I want to work piecework, to repair all the beds, and he'll give me so much per bed. Since I was young, and I was a good worker, I used to work for this, and I made $40 zlotys a week.
So you worked in the other job?
No, I quit the other one and went back to him to work for him.
Okay.
And I made good money, and I stayed with him until 19...
What did you do with the money?
The money I sent home to my parents.
At one point your parents were wealthy, weren't they?
But they were not. After the crash, or after the, the same thing, the crash,
Nothing wealthy later.
nothing wealthy anymore.
You never had any thoughts of going into the fur processing business?
No, I knew the fur processing business, but I never
It
went...
wasn't something you thought you'd like to do?
No, it was not, and I don't know, somehow in order to do it, you have to have a shop with machinery and everything else. Somehow it didn't work out. My parents never went back to the same thing. But I liked the mechanical one. So I stayed with him until 1939.
So you actually, from all these places you didn't learn to be a plumber?
No.
You learned all kinds of,
all
just how to work with your hands?
Yes.
All mechanical. Building. We used to make the steps and the handrails, the porches, the steel porches, with the, all kind of fancy things.
By hand.
By hand. Everything, there was no machinery. Everything has been done by hand.
Okay.
I also learned blacksmith work. Because in order to do this one, you have to know how to work from fire.
So you did this piecemeal work until the start of the war then?
To the start of the war, to 1939, September the 1st, 1939. By this time, I had accumulated some tools that I bought from my boss. I bought a vise, I bought a drill, not an electric, it was a hand drill. You have to crank it like this and turn the bit will go down, so you have to crank it on the top and crank it in the air. So in order to drill holes. So I bought some tools from him, and then in 1939...
You sent it home?
I sent it home, this one. I didn't keep it in Radom, I sent it to them. In 1939, when the war broke out, I think it was either Sunday or Monday, I went into the shop to borrow some tools to fix up something in the house. And then when the German airplanes came over and they started to bombard the house, they dropped a bomb in a civilian apartment, which our shop was exactly across the street from this apartment. I was wounded at that time, not directly from the bomb, but from the pieces that fell in from the shop or from outside. There were a lot of casualties, a lot of people dead. 8 days after...
Before we go on to the concentration camps, I want to go back to the family a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so know more about the family. Okay, so your father was Yankel?
Yankel, yes.
Okay. And your mother was?
Chaya.
Chaya. Okay. And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
One.
Okay. So it was
9 years later.
Okay. So you were the oldest?
I was the oldest one. My brother was 9 years younger than me.
Okay. All right, and that was Gedalia?
Gedalia.
Okay. And what happened to Gedalia? He never made it through the war. So about how old was he when he died?
He was 11.
11 when he died?
When he died. I mean, he died. I don't know what happened to him.
He wasn't
He went to with the selection to Sobibor.
Okay. So tell us a little bit, In this first tape, we're going to do a little bit about the family, and then we'll come back to the concentration
Okay.
camps at another time.
Okay, fine.
Okay?
What do you want to know about
Tell me
family?
about your father, your mother. Let's start there.
My father was a religious man with a beard, as you can see in the picture down there. But at the same time, he was a modern man. What I mean by a modern man, you can see it, he's photographed without a head. You know? And this was not allowed in those days. Second, that I found out, and I remember this myself, in Radom, back in Radom. I was a young kid, we went to see a movie, Noah's Ark, a silent movie. My father went, my mother went, and I went. So my father went with my mother to a movie to see, it was a biblical story.
That was
But
unusual.
still,
So that was unusual? Did you
Unusual.
see something with your wife?
well, what are you talking about?
And his mother went.
My
to
father,
the title when she
my
went
mother,
to
before
marriage.
when they got married, she used to wear a wig, customary by Jewish people. But my father did not allow this one. He said, no wig, just the way she is.
So he was
Beautiful.
kind of a revolutionary then?
In a way he was, because he was a religious man, but also a modern man. He realized, that we have to make progress. You have to go along with certain things. My mother was a beautiful woman, very beautiful
Gorgeous.
woman.
Gorgeous.
They lived in the city and had a happy life together, as far as I know.
What was your most, can you think of one memory that you had with your parents that would kind of describe what they were like?
Like I told you, he was a modern person. He was a person...
But he still demanded that you go to Cheder,
Yes,
daven, and you do all that kind of
Cheder,
stuff.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, he was.
It's a matter of fact, I resented a lot of times because as far as my life was, I woke up in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, winter time. We did not have any central heating. I had to go with him in winter in the snow to go to the Bet Midrash, to daven. And I wasn't a child. I was, already 12, 13 years old. But I respected, and I did his wishes. And then we came back, we had something to eat. I reviewed my lessons, I went to school. I resented this whole thing, but I realized it was not, for any benefit of his. It's just a matter for religion. You have to daven every day. When I got back to school, we had, we had dinner at 1 o'clock. That's the European style, dinner at 1 o'clock. And then I went to Cheder, where I spent from 1:30, 2 o'clock till 7 o'clock in the evening. When I got home, we davened in the Cheder, we davened Mincha Mare. When I got home, we had evening bread, it's called. Some sandwich, with a cup of tea. Then I had to make my homework in school. And I had to learn Krishma. That means a prayer that I could go to sleep and I should dream good dreams.
Yeah.
Sweet dreams.
That's Krishna, yeah.
Can you think of any, like I would think that, when Mikey grows older, he'll remember playing ball with his dad.
No, I did not play
You
ball.
don't have-
No.
Or that wasn't the kind of relationship a son
No,
had with his father.
there's no such thing as playing ball because first of all, don't forget that Shabbos, there was no such thing as ball playing. And Shabbos,
And you go to shul in the morning.
you have to go to the shul in the morning, and after the shul, you come home, you have to eat, and then you have to mount the saddle, means reading the Torah. And then you have to say Perkavot, read the Perkavot, which is a beautiful, I would advise anyone, even for Mikey, to learn, study within the Perkavot. That's the way of life. What is life? How do you live? They have all kind of things like, I'll give us an example. They said over there, who's a rich man? How do you describe a rich man? Well, it's a lot of money. They say, no, a man who has a bathroom, yes, the dining room is a rich man.
All right.
But that's the way it's described down there. All kind of things, beautiful.
Okay.
After this one, he let me out, to go out to play. How can you play? You could not ride a bicycle, you could not play ball, you could not run because you get sweaty and it's work. Always met, with some friends, talking more. It's now no playing. And then we have to come back and go to Shalashidis, back to the shul.
We were talking about Jacob Reuben.
Yeah, he was not like we called him, buddy with the son. Pals. He was the father and I was the son.
Okay.
He was the one
Do you
who
recall
lived
when he was born?
in 18, I think 90 something.
Okay, 1890s. Okay. Now what about Helen? Any special? This is Chaya.
Yeah.
Jilly's middle name is Chaya.
Right.
Beautiful person.
A beautiful woman. Also a pious woman.
Okay. Don't worry if it's flashing. When it stops, we'll know that we're out of tape and move on. Okay?
And like any other woman in the old country, her place was home.
Uh-huh.
She did not mix into any business or anything like this. Just home and raise the children.
Okay.
That was her job.
All right. And she was also born in around the 1890s, I would guess?
Probably somewhere around
She would be
there.
the typical Jewish mother.
Jewish mother,
Make
right.
sure that there was a challah on the
Hall
table.
of Shabbos, and that all the buttons are sorted, into
Uh-huh.
the shirt or the pants,
Uh-huh.
things like that.
Okay.
And prepare them every day a meal.
She had 3 sisters and a brother, is that right?
Reisel, Giesel, and Schiffer. Yeah, 3 sisters and a brother.
Now Jacob had some brothers.
Yep.
How many
Jacob has
brothers?
6 brothers.
Okay, and their names were?
All the names is Joseph, Joseph,
Uh-huh.
Burech, Baruch,
He was the richest.
Joseph, Burech, Eliezer,
Uh-huh.
Shaya, Isaiah,
Uh-huh.
who that is?
David.
David, and Yankel. That's 6 brothers.
And he was the oldest, the youngest,
My
the middle?
father, no, he was, I think, before the youngest.
Uh-huh. Okay.
The second one youngest.
He had only 3 sisters too.
Yeah, 4 sisters.
There were 10 altogether?
10
In
altogether.
his family.
Yeah,
And
4
he-
sisters.
And he only had 2.
2 children.
Was there a reason why the others had so many? And
That
I
probably
know.
couldn't have any more.
Maybe you couldn't have it
Uh-huh.
because there's a period between me and my brother 9 years.
Uh-huh.
Well, he was born 4 years after the marriage.
Mhm.
That was unusual to do it
Yeah, I
in
was born
Europe.
4 years after they got married.
Uh-huh.
And they got married in 1918.
Okay.
I know for sure.
Okay. Okay, anything you want to say about any of the brothers, quickly? Anything unusual or anything interesting?
No,
There were
all
some rich ones.
full rich.
These were all your uncles.
Yeah.
Were there any of those uncles that you were closer with, that you had more...
Well, I had more in common with Yosef and David
David. Of course, they lived in
than
Demden.
them did.
Uh-huh.
I also knew Shai or Isaiah.
Uh-huh.
I knew him too.
Yeah.
But the other ones, I know them because they used to come every year. They used to come, for your side.
Uh-huh.
They used to come.
Okay, and Helen had brothers and sisters?
Yes, she had Reisel,
Three
Dietjen,
sisters.
in Schiffer. 3 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay. And anything that you can remember about them that's noteworthy?
His brother was
The only brother, his name was Meyer.
good to him.
And he was terrific, was the most wonderful person in the world. He was not an uncle to me, but he was more like a brother to me. He guided me. He molded me more than anybody else. And the other ones, the youngest
What
one,
did he do for a living?
he was, he used to be a designer, a shoe designer,
For the top.
from the top
Uh-huh.
shoes.
And you didn't want to learn the business from him?
I started to work on it, but I didn't care for it. I didn't
Uh-huh.
like it.
Okay. Whatever happened to all these, the 6...
All died.
Well, the 6 brothers and how many sisters were
4
there?
sisters. You name the
Jacob?
sisters. I give you the name
Okay.
of the sisters.
Okay.
That's Eve,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Chava, Eve,
Wasn't it Feigelin?
Feigelin. Who was the first one? I don't know. But Chava, Feigelin, Dina, Dintje, and Pearl.
Okay. So these 10, were all of them killed in the war?
No, all this,
Some survived.
all
I
3
remember
sisters.
Dina.
Dina was a survivor,
Uh-huh.
and Eve was, she was here in the States.
Okay, that's,
Bobby,
Yeah.
Bobby. Oh, I remember Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eve Gilman.
Okay.
And Feiga, she went to Israel in the 30s.
Uh-huh.
So
You
she
remember her,
survived.
don't you?
Yeah. The Bubba Feige.
Yeah, the Mima Feige.
Mima Feige, Bubba.
Yeah.
And Pearl
Pearl, she died.
died in the war.
Yeah.
How about the brothers?
All died in the war.
All of them in the war.
All in the war.
All in concentration camps?
One in concentration camp, the rest of them died in...
Who knows where?
I don't know how.
Well, you don't know how any of them.
No.
No.
Okay.
Well,
And how about Meyer? How did he die?
also the war.
Uh-huh. But again, you don't... When you're talking about the war, we're not talking about a natural death, probably.
No.
No. All
Not
taken
natural
away.
death.
All
All
taken
taken
away.
away.
Taken away at some point.
Either they were killed by gun, or by hanging, or in a crematorium,
Uh-huh.
gas chamber. Exactly how, I don't know. I didn't know how my parents got killed. They got killed by gun.
Okay, so in your immediate family then, you had
6,
7,
uncles.
8, 9, and then the 3 sisters, what happened with them? So 12 out of your immediate family,
All gone.
all gone in the Holocaust.
Right.
Okay. Okay, anything else about either the brothers or Meyer or the sisters or... And what we've discovered so far is that Saul Reuben had a mother and father. The mother is Helen. The father is Jacob. Jacob was born around the 1890s. They were married around 1918. That Jacob had 6 brothers and 4 sisters. And of those 10, we saw that 7 of them died in the Holocaust, and that Helen's family had 3 sisters and 1 brother.
All died.
And all of them died in the Holocaust. And the one brother, Meyer, was kind of a mentor for my father. Somebody that he could really, he was like a big brother to him.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, anything else you want to tell us about Meyer?
He was not married. But again, he was the most wonderful person to me. You know, just like a father, or a brother, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, and let's go on now to look at Helen's family. Okay, we're going down the family tree now.
Helen Volanovsky.
Helen Volanovsky. And her father was...
Eliezer.
Okay, who Mikey is named after, which is Helen's father. Why are you looking at me so puzzled, Sherry?
I thought it was Zadie Loser.
That is the Zayda
Yeah,
loser.
that's the Zayda loser.
Okay,
Zadie Loser.
right. The mother, Chaya's side, there was the Eliezer was her father, and her mother was Feige. Okay. Now Eliezer we had already discussed earlier.
Sure.
The guy with the
beard.
snow white beard,
Yeah.
pointed, very pious man. He was in the fur type business. Okay, the Mima Feige?
The Bubba Feige.
The Bubba Feige, okay.
Bubba Feige, a pious woman. She was involved in all kind of philanthropic organizations. But again, as a woman, her place was home to make a home for the whole family.
Okay.
And she died of a heart attack.
She died of a heart attack in the 30, I think in the 30s she died.
So both Eliezer and Feige didn't live through or didn't make it into the Holocaust.
No.
No.
They died of
Eliezer-
natural causes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No.
Eliezer
Eliezer?
died.
Yeah,
Right,
natural
natural
growth,
cause.
yes.
Okay, how old was he when he died?
He was 63 years old.
Okay,
In those days, he was considered an old man.
okay. And
I
Feige?
think she was 56.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think she was 56.
Okay, and they were the ones you have your most memories of
Right.
growing up
Most-
with, and,
right,
and
right.
loving and kind and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Now, on your father's side,
My father's side,
your father's father was
Sucher.
Super. Okay. Okay, and your father's mother was
Esther.
Esther. Okay. And Sucher, now you were named after him, so
Right.
that means he was not alive when
No.
you were born.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know anything
He
about him?
died during the First World War.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what year.
He didn't die as fighting in the war or
No,
anything?
he died of First World War. He was a very wealthy man.
Uh-huh.
He was-
Where did he get wealthy from?
I don't know, at Lent.
Uh-huh.
And he used to have, used to call power case or slaves working for him.
Okay.
He was considered like, called in England a lord,
Uh-huh.
you know. And he was a very, very wealthy man when he died.
But you don't know what he died of, or...
I have no idea what he died or whatever.
And you never knew him, and you...
No, I
And,
didn't
and
know.
the only thing you have as stories about him, anything?
Nothing
No.
special.
The Bubba he knew very well.
But I remember the Bubba Esther.
Now, is this the Esther Jardines?
No,
my
This is, okay, this is the different
Not
family.
Esther.
That'll be a different tape from the other side. Okay,
The Bubba Esther.
Yeah, okay, tell us about the Bubba Esther.
The Bubba Esther was also a very, she was more like how would I say,
An aggressive person.
an aggressive, but also she gave orders, you know. And one incident I remember, when the brothers got together for the Eurozeit,
Every year.
they came together for the Eurozeit for
Right.
Suche.
Right.
And of course there were rich brothers and poor brothers. So the rich one had to help out the poor brothers. So there was one guy who was the poorest of them all, the Washaya. He was the most clown was he, but a wonderful person. And of course he always needs money. So they started bickering about how much he'll give this one, you know, everybody complained, David complained he don't have enough business, and he also complained the business are not too good. And she was sitting at the head of the table, a big gold chain around her. And she was listening, didn't say a word. And all of a sudden she raised up her hand and hit the table. So like, be quiet. And she gave the orders, David, you pay so much, and Yanti, you give so much, and Joseph, you give so much. And none of them said a word to say, Mom, I can't afford to do that.
So she was the boss.
She was the boss.
Uh-huh. And she lived how much longer than Sucher?
Oh, she died in the 30s also.
Okay.
How old she was, I don't know.
Didn't you, grandmother, have 20 kids?
She used to have 20 children, 10 alive.
Okay, so she had 20 kids?
20 kids, 10 alive,
Okay.
10 living.
Uh-huh. Okay.
She gave birth to 20
She gave
kids.
20
birth to
Only
20
10
kids. 10
survived.
10 survived.
10
Yeah.
survived.
Those were the 6 brothers and the 4 sisters.
4 sisters.
Okay.
The others died at birth.
What?
At birth the others died. When they died,
Who knows?
he doesn't know.
I don't know this one.
Okay, anything else about the family that you want to mention? Anywhere in the family before we go on to the Teichmann family?
I don't know. Unless you have any questions. If you would ask questions, I would be able to answer you. But otherwise, what can I remember?
Okay.
The Bubba Esther used to live with us for a while.
Uh-huh.
But then she decided she wants to live with a baby, with another son. And where she lived with him, and she died in his house down there.
Okay, tell me, how did you and Mom meet? How did
We know each other actually from childhood. When I was in Dublin, I knew her, I knew her parents. But you know, as children, during the war, I used to come over to her house to fix up the machines. You know, her father used to have, you know, a machine, a sewing machine, and I was the mechanic, the only mechanic in town. I used to fix up, you know, the machines, some other things, you know, and we got to get to know each other. But again, just like children, you know, I was 17, 18 years old. When the war broke out, I was only 17 years old. I never sent the army.
What's that?
That's another story, the whole thing.
Yeah, that's when we go to the
Okay.
thing. But that's when I met her, you know, then we...
In camp.
In camp. We got closer to each other.
Okay. Let's see. So we've put it on hold for a minute.
Go ahead.
Okay. We were just going to go on to the Teichmann family, but before we do that, I'm going to try to figure out who all the family is on the Reuben side. Okay? So, who all the family is. This is good English. Okay, so we know that Abish, who's a cousin, Abish and Leo were the children of Eve, who was my father's aunt.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, Eve is Bobby.
Bobby.
Okay.
As you know her as Bobby.
Okay, and then Judy and Sal.
Offsprings of Abish.
So Abish is your first cousin,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Right.
Judy and Sal are your second
Second
cousin.
cousin.
Right.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, and then let's see, in Israel when we have like Moshe.
Moshe, my first cousin.
First
Moshe is the
cousin.
son of
Yosef.
Yosef.
Moshe is the son of Yosef?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did Shmuel fit into this?
Shmuel, the son of David.
Okay, Shmuel was the son of David. Okay. And of all those uncles,
Yeah.
you were closest with Shmuel? Is that?
Yes, to Shmuel was the closest.
Oh, he was in
Well,
camp?
because
We were together in concentration camp.
Uh-huh. Okay, but it wasn't because you were closest with David. as
No.
your uncle.
No, but first of all, we lived in the same city.
Uh-huh.
But in concentration camp, we got closer to each other because we're together, we're
They
sleeping.
lived together. They
They
stayed in
lived
one
together.
little barrack.
Okay, and who else is there in the family that I always want to know how they fit?
Okay, you have.
How about that in Haifa, the one who
Tzipoy
came here? Yeah.
There's a
No.
Feigelis at
This
top.
Feigels, I thought. This is Feigels, Zipporah was
Yeah.
Feigels' daughter,
Okay, Feigl is one of the sisters,
sisters.
and
Only one daughter.
Seladore, Zipporah.
now that's the one who's like 90 years old or something?
Yeah.
I think she died
I
already.
think she died.
Oh, she isn't 90 anymore. Okay, now who is the one who's an attorney that came over here?
Zahava
And Zahava was
is the daughter of Zipporah.
Zipporah.
of Zipporah. So that would be the same relation then as Abish and Leo.
Right.
Okay, got it. Okay, this is good. This is
Where's the got it again?
You got it? You got it? Okay.
I want to hear you say you got it.
Yeah, because 2 days from now I won't remember this.
Okay, now, wait a minute. We go now to Burech.
Okay.
Who has one
Who
daughter?
has got more children, but one is survived. I'm talking about. Mindel.
Well, is that the
Remember-
one in Argentina?
Yeah, I
From
remember
Argentina.
her son and only son they had. He came once to Detroit to visit us. Inte geheißen.
I don't know.
Very good.
Okay, so Burach had a son,
Adore.
a daughter,
Yeah,
Mindel.
Mindel.
And she's the one in Argentina?
No, she's right now in Israel.
Israel.
She's in Israel.
Yeah.
Who was in Argentina?
Oh,
That's the
now
one.
we get, no, she was in Argentina, immigrated from Argentina to Israel.
Okay,
But I have 2 more cousins from Perel.
okay,
Perel has 2 sons, Mendel and Gershon.
okay. Okay, and they would be the same relation then as Abish
right,
and Leo?
right. They are in
Okay.
Argentina.
These two
Have you
were-
ever seen them?
Yes.
I see them in,
Well, when you were
before
in
the
Poland,
war.
but
Yeah.
you've never seen them since?
No.
No.
You don't keep in contact with
No,
Mendel
we
and
used to.
Gershon?
We used to keep in contact when I was in Germany after the war.
Uh-huh.
But
you
somehow,
Would you know where to find them? Do you know if they're even alive?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because Judy was in Argentina, and I told her to look up the address and everything else. She couldn't find it.
Uh-huh.
What happened to them, I have no idea.
So you're not sure you have any living relatives in
I
Argentina?
don't know.
Because I know that after the war, you were thinking for a while
Yes,
to go
to
to
go-
Argentina.
right. They sent me papers to go to either Paraguay or Uruguay, and from there he will bring me to Argentina.
Uh-huh.
But came up to the States, I came to the States.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, David got Shmuel from the
Eliezer.
What?
Now, then there was a brother named Eliezer.
Yeah,
Did he have any
who
children?
was it? Yes, but all perished.
Okay, and you didn't know of them then?
I
or-
knew them, but
Uh-huh.
one was a
In the
Yankee,
same
and
city.
And Shia, the...
Shai, the youngest one, and also he perished in the war.
Uh-huh.
With his family, with the whole thing is gone.
Uh-huh.
And another Sucher here, and another Sucher.
They all had suchas, every one of them.
One thing I tell you about Burech. Burech had a son. He was the first Sucher,
Uh-huh.
named after my grandfather.
Right.
And in the 30s, he became a Dr. Rabbine, which translation in English would be a conservative rabbi.
Mhm.
And he was the first one, I think, in Poland to be a conservative rabbi. In Poland, he was called a Dr. Rabbine.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Well, I think we're going to take a little break now, and then we're going to come back to the Teichmann family. So, photograph here, you can take a little break. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the Teichmann family. Okay, and this is Lola Rubin.
My wife, my ex-girlfriend.
Okay, and you were born in
May 1923.
May 5th, 1923.
Yeah.
And you were the daughter of Chaim
I am.
and
And Miriam.
Miriam. Okay, let's start then with, well, tell us a little bit about your growing up, or do you want to start by telling us a little about Chaim and Miriam?
Okay. My my father, I don't remember my father's parents, but I knew one thing. My father had the most gorgeous mother in the world. They always say she was beautiful, like Auntie Jenny, very beautiful girl, lady.
But you never met her?
No.
Did you see pictures of her?
No.
Okay, just what you heard.
Yeah, that my father told me she was pregnant, and she had a bad heart. And the neighbor next door knocked the door and says there's a fire. Come out of the house, and she fell down and she collapsed and she died. Very young. My father never could. I mean, worried. I mean, all his life he worried about. They say she died so young.
That was his mother.
Yes, his
mother died very young, and so he was basically then raised by his father.
That's right. Oh, he was a grown-up person already by that time.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about Chaim then.
Well,
I know he died at what age?
At 89. I think he was 89.
Okay.
In Israel.
Right.
In Israel.
What was his history like, or what can you tell us about him?
Well, he was a good man.
Okay.
He tried as a good man. He worked very hard. He had one brother,
Eliezer.
Another Eliezer.
Yeah.
Must be a name.
Liza.
Okay.
and a sister, Jenny,
Okay.
and a sister, Leah,
Okay.
and a half-sister, Sorides.
Half-sister
He remarried
Sorides.
later on. He
Okay.
remarried, and he had a half-sister, Sorides.
Okay, so this Jenny that we're talking about here, the sister, is
She was
Auntie
my regular
Jenny.
sister,
Is
yes,
our
yes.
Auntie Jenny.
Yes,
The
yes.
original Auntie Jenny.
Yeah, she
Okay.
was a sister. She
Was a
a
sister to Zaidi Chaim Tamkin.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was an Eliezer, who was a brother.
Yes,
Yeah.
the one in the picture you saw on the
The book.
book.
He was the
leader. The
president
in the Jewish
of the Judenrat.
Judenrat.
Okay. And what's the Judenrat?
You know, it's the
Committee from the Jewish people in during the war.
Jewish committee.
Okay.
He was a very
So
a big
you-
shot, but you know my father had a partner in his business, and he said that my father said to him, "What do you worry? Look at my brother, such a big shot." He says, "Don't worry. I read a lot about Shalayov, and Hitler will get to him too. Don't worry."
Okay. So there was a brother Eliezer and two sisters.
Two sisters and one half sister.
Okay. And a half-sister was
So he is
Sorides.
Davidovich, you know her.
Okay. Right. Okay. Now, okay, Chaim was
He had two trades.
okay, two trades. All
Two
right.
trades. First of all, he made the designing from the shoes on the top.
Uh-huh.
Then he did parquet floors.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember ever hearing about that.
Beautiful parquet floors, just like this here. I remember just like this here.
Uh-huh.
And he worked for the military. Somehow they did let him in. He took
There
some
was
people.
nobody else.
He took some people from Warsaw, special people, and they brought them in, and they did for the military this year.
Was he a wealthy man?
No, struggled very hard.
Uh-huh.
My mother had a chain that she always put at the, to a
Pawn shop.
pawn shop
Uh-huh.
to get a few dollars. One time they were very happy. Yeah, my mother and father had two sons that both died,
Okay.
except the three girls.
Okay, so there are three sisters, and that's Vittel. I know that one.
Vittel.
Edith.
And I was in the middle.
Right. Okay.
They also had, first of all, they had a son, Noyer. Noyer was my mother's father. It was named, and one was Mayer.
Okay.
Noyer died, I think, after a month altogether. He
Well,
died right
okay,
away.
you're going on your mother's side. First, let's stay with your father's side.
No, there's
My father and mother,
There's
Okay.
brothers to her.
they were my two brothers.
No,
Oh, you had two brothers in addition?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's telling you, right?
Oh, okay. Then I misunderstood. So there was a Noah.
Noah,
So there were
And
5
I-
children altogether between Chaim and Miriam.
that's correct.
Okay. The first one was a boy, Noah.
A boy Noah, yes.
And he
died after a month, I think, when he was born. But the other one was the most. We used to have pictures from him.
Meyer?
Was a gorgeous boy. He was 7 years old. He fell on the how you call it, the beach.
Oh, on the ice.
on the ice,
Yeah.
and he had
Had concussion.
head concussion. He died of this.
At 7 years old.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then there's Vittel. So all that was left was the three sisters.
Right.
Then.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Also, the Abu Malon is a half brother.
We'll get to him later.
Okay.
That's to his second wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go on until she died, until your mother died.
Okay.
Okay. So anything else you want to tell us about Chaim? First of all, that we know he was a shoemaker and he did
Not a shoemaker.
shoe designer.
Yeah, very tough.
Okay.
And he worked very hard. He had a hard life. We had quite a few fires, and he was in every fire. I don't know how, but he was in every fire.
Why did you have so many fires? Because that takes us to your mother who died in the fire.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Why did you have so many fires? Was it because of the parquet floor? Maybe
No, 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 no.
glue or something
Just-
like that?
Just where we lived. I don't know.
That was about the mother when she died. And she made some glue enough for the parquet floors.
Yeah.
My mother put us to sleep, and she tried to make some glue, actually to polish for the parquet floors.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't come in time to eat, so later on she started a match, and the match was close to the benzene, how you call it, the gasoline,
Uh-huh.
and that started the fire.
Uh-huh.
That's when she got burned.
Okay. So she actually burned to death.
That's
When you
no,
were-
she was 3 days she was alive,
Okay. But how old were you when this happened?
7 years old.
Okay. So
The only thing that I don't remember my mother now, I can't stand that. It hurts me so bad.
you don't remember your mother at all?
No, no.
Uh-huh. Well, how could you expect to remember her, 7 years old?
Yeah. But I remember when she was, they took her from our place across the street, and she was laying on the bed, but I don't remember how she looked.
Uh-huh.
And then they took a bus, and they took them all to Lublin, to the nearest place to help them go,
Hospital.
their hospital.
Well, but she was the only one who was injured in the
My
fire.
father ran in to help her, and he was burned too.
Uh-huh.
He heard about it, he ran to help her, and he was burned too.
Mhm.
So he went every day. He wasn't as bad burned as she was, so he went every day to see her at the hospital. And when she died, they didn't want him to let him know that she died. She told him that she went to my mother's, to Esther Hadina's house, to her mother's house.
But who went to Esther? How do you say?
My mother. They told my father to see her.
Uh-huh. So he wasn't at her funeral then?
No. He was sick.
Uh-huh.
But he didn't know when she died. They never told him.
Uh-huh. I see. Okay.
And that was the biggest tragedy in his life later on.
Mhm.
Because I never told him, and he wrote letters, and he talked about her. And he knew that he's going to come back home, he's going to see her.
Uh-huh. So how long was he hospitalized then?
A year.
For an entire year he was hospitalized?
He
So
was
who
first
raised you
around-
then?
Well, that's the story. We were raised, first of all, we went for a year to my Bubba Esther Hadinas.
Here's where Esther Hadinas comes in.
Yeah.
So,
And-
so she's the bubba from where?
My mother's mother.
Okay.
Maternal.
Now we're getting into, okay, so
Yeah.
your mother's mother
Well, Esther.
was Esther Hadinas.
Hadina was her mother's name. That's why it's Esther Hadinas.
This will never work, guys. Okay, so Miriam's mother was Esther Hadinas.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so so really your maternal grandmother raised you then for a year.
Yes. Also Layatema. Bill's mother raised us too.
Now, Layatema, where does she fit into this again?
My mother's sister. The youngest sister was Layatema.
Okay, so the mother had a sister named,
Layatema.
okay,
She's the youngest.
okay.
And she has also another one, Hinda.
This one's a little more confusing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very hard on you.
Okay,
And
so,
she also had two brothers.
okay,
One was so religious that they called him Abu Malamalek.
uh-huh, okay,
And the other one was a very hard worker. His name was Maye.
Meyer must have been kind of like a name like Joe back then or something, because it seems like we're
Everybody
talking
had
a lot of
Maye.
Meyers.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I can recap this for fans.
Okay.
Okay, we have Lola Rubin, who was the daughter of Chaim and Miriam.
Yes.
And we know that Chaim was basically raised by his father because his mother died at a very early age.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know any more about the father and Chaim's father and mother.
Well, I know he remarried later on, but I don't remember him.
Okay. We know that Miriam died in a house fire when you were 7 years old.
7 years old. The youngest one was 5.
Now, for that year, when Chaim was getting hospitalized, you were being raised by Esther Chadines,
My grandmother.
who was your grandmother.
Yes.
Okay.
And Laitema.
Your grandmother had some sisters.
That Laitema was a daughter.
A daughter to...
I don't know my grandmother's sisters.
Laitema was a sister to Mariam.
Mariam.
Oh, okay. So Mayim's getting this on tape. So Mayim had some sisters.
Yes.
Right.
They were Laitema.
Laitema was the youngest.
What's the difference? The youngest and the oldest.
Okay, and that's who Leah is named after.
Yes, and
Right.
Bill is a son. Bill is Laitema's son.
Okay.
We're not coming to bills. We're coming to get right now to you things.
Okay, so Miriam had a sister,
Yes.
Laitema, and who else?
Hindu.
Hinda. Okay.
Don't ask me.
Okay.
I don't
And
know.
2 brothers.
So really, it became a kind of a joint effort. And Miriam must have been well, she was dead. Okay, but the
Okay.
Are we ready for the recap?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the recap is Lola Rubin, the daughter of Chaim and Miriam. And now we're looking at Miriam's family. Miriam's mother was Esther Chadines, and her father was Noah.
That's right.
Okay, we don't know much about Noah.
He was a Jewish
Except
teacher.
Her husband.
Her husband, right,
Was
okay.
a Jewish teacher.
Okay, was a Jewish teacher. Do you know when he died, how he died,
No.
anything like that? You
Natural
don't-
death.
Natural.
Nowadays, a natural death.
I remember one of the Culver people that he was a student of his.
The Culver Creekers. Okay. Now, what we know...
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I hope we don't lose this. Okay, let's go back now. Talking about Miriam, who is the daughter, one of the daughters of Noah and Esther Chadines.
That's correct.
Okay, and they had 5 children: Laitema, Hinda, Miriam, Avram Amalek, and Meyer.
That's correct.
Okay, and we don't know exactly what order they came in.
No.
And we know that Laitema had a son that's Bill.
That's right.
Okay.
And his name is Noyer.
Right.
His real name is Noah.
He's Noah. Okay.
Mhm.
And Hinda had...
He has quite a few kids.
Okay. Are there any stories you want to tell about? Do you remember most about growing up with Bill? Is that it?
Yes.
Because you were the closest.
No, because Bill and my Bubba Esther Chadines lived in one room together, and we stayed with them both together during the year after my mother died.
Okay.
They stayed in one room.
Why did Bill stay with the?
He was with his parents.
Okay. Okay.
His parents stayed with the Bubba Esther Chadines in 2 rooms.
Too many rooms.
Okay.
Well, he stayed with them together. He lived
Okay.
with them.
Any stories you want to tell about the Bubba Esther Chadines? She seems to always be a highlight.
A very, very aggressive woman, a bossy woman. If you passed by her and didn't say good morning, you were
On the list.
on the list.
Okay.
But one thing she told me I'll never forget. She told me to bench Rosh Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh,
Okay.
and I didn't want to do it. And she says, you should never name a child after me. And I remember this.
That's why she didn't name a child after her.
Okay. Because you wouldn't bench Rosh Chodesh.
That's right. She was a very religious person.
Uh-huh.
That's what she told me. She was good to us. She tried the best with all the money that she had. There
Was
was
she
nothing
wealthy,
there.
or everybody
No.
on your side is broke?
No, she was not wealthy, no.
Okay, so Dad's side was aristocrats compared to you.
Right.
They were wealthy.
Yeah.
Aristocrats.
Well, Maya did okay. Maya was all right. Avram Amalek passed by somehow.
Uh-huh.
My mother was the richest of them all, and she had nothing to begin with.
Okay. Okay, any
And
stories about any of the...
Hindu, they made oil.
Uh-huh.
They put it in a sack and used to turn it around so it squeezed out the oil.
Uh-huh. These were not exactly the Rockefellers.
No.
It was not Standard Oil.
And also she had a little horsey on the top of the other, of the, where was it? Where she used to go around and move the...
In order to push, to crank down, to squeeze out the oil.
No, not for the oil.
No?
No, something
For-
else.
Or for a mill.
Yes.
They make flour.
And that horse went all around.
And there wasn't a mill like General Mills had a mill.
Uh-huh.
So they had a mill with two racks. And they put the corn in between, and the racks rub one on another, and that's where you make flour.
Mhm.
So in order to turn the racks, they had a horse going around, pulling
around.
the thing, in order to.
The horse
The horse was blind.
blind, not to make sure that he doesn't see what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Okay.
That I remember very
Let's
well.
go on to,
She was very good to us.
who was she? What-
Hinda.
Okay, Hinda. Okay. So who took care of you then after the fire and while your father was hospitalized?
Esther, Bubba
Okay.
Esther,
The Bubba Esther Cardenas.
and Laitema.
Okay, and Layatema.
Yes, with
Okay.
them we stayed.
Okay. All right. And are there any special, let's go back to your father. Any special memories you have of him that, growing up, something special he did for you that you remember?
I know, well, he was a horse, that's all. Worked
Just a-
all hard his life, that's all.
Uh-huh. That sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, worked very hard, that's all.
Okay. And your mother you really don't remember.
No.
Okay. The Bubba Esther Cardenas, do you remember?
Yes,
Do
I
you
was
remember
with
her well? And
yes,
she was kind of a tough cookie.
That's right, yes. She
Okay.
told me about the name, not the name after her.
Uh-huh. And you remember Layatema?
Laitema very well. When we went already, and meanwhile, my father came back from the hospital. He came back to my grandmother's house.
Uh-huh.
He came to see Miriam, his wife, because I told him that's where she is. He came, he found out she's dead.
Uh-huh.
It was terrible. We had to call a doctor to him, the way he came with her. He was very upset, because he was sure that she's dead.
Uh-huh.
And that killed him altogether, because he loved her dearly. He had a good life.
Okay. Any special stories about growing up with Layatema and Bill, or?
Bill, I remember,
Uh-huh.
but he was a little child.
How many years difference between you and Bill?
8 years.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
So
when
wait a
after my
second, he
father
was a
left-
little child, so he was an infant then when you were,
Right.
when you spent your year over there.
yes,
Okay.
Laitema was a very sick woman. I don't know what she was sick of. But once we went back, after my father came in, we went back to my father to Dublin. And she came every few weeks with Bill to make some food, to make something for the 3 orphans. She was very good to us. And then finally she died.
Okay, so she died, all these die of natural causes?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, all the,
Before the war. No, only she died before the war.
only Layatema? No.
Laitema.
Only Layatema died before the war.
And my mother was burnt in a fire. The rest of them went away.
The rest of them died in the
That
war
is new.
somewhere. You don't know where, you
No,
don't know
we
what
don't know
happened to
anything.
them, nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what about your growing up? Did you spend all your time in Demblin?
Well, I finished school. First of all, when my mother died and we came back to my father, I used to wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock, go and buy the pound of meat, make it kosher, put it in a pot, go to school. On the way to school, I stopped off at the bakery and I left that pot so it would cook in the oven. On the way back, I took that pot up, we cooked some potatoes or something like that, and we had dinner all together. I worked very hard until finally my father found a lady that kept us, did the homework in the house. But I worked very hard.
House.
Okay, anything, so you spent all your youth in Demblin? All?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Okay.
Went to school in Dublin.
I went to school
We finished the school in Dublin.
You also
at
went
14
to
years,
14
that's
years?
right, yeah.
Uh-huh.
At 14 years, my father says, well, I have to learn a trade. It's not because of my future. He thought I'll learn a trade, I'll buy a machine, and I'll have to help something for the house.
Uh-huh.
That hurted me plenty. Of course, he didn't have anything to begin with.
Right.
And I started working, and I got 5 zlotys for half a year.
Okay. So what did you learn to work?
Or dressmaking.
Okay. And who taught you that?
At a special place. They had a few people there.
Okay. Did you see the same problems that Dad had as far as, you know, a Jewish shop?
No. It was a Jewish shop, and we had no trouble. No.
Okay. So.
In general, the needle trade belonged to Jewish people.
The Jewish
Uh-huh.
people. So that was
You
something.
couldn't find a guy to be a tailor or a dressmaker.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I
So
stayed
his
there.
intent was for you to learn that trade so you could then come into the family business and make money for the
Okay.
family business.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
But you didn't want to do that?
It hurted me because if you do want it, you want it for yourself later on in life. But then, every girl that was a dressmaker got a husband that she worked for him all his life. That's how it happened in that time.
What about Vittel and Edith? Did they have to do the same thing? Did they learn the same?
Vittel was a photographer. Vittel was a photographer. She
How
worked.
did she become a photographer?
We had cousins photographer. She
Uh-huh.
worked with them. Then when she Warsaw, went to Warsaw, she was a aggressive child.
devil.
Very
Uh-huh.
hard to live with her. So
Uh-huh.
we sent her to Warsaw to work.
Okay,
She
so
lived
she
in
went to the
Warsaw.
big city, to Warsaw.
Yeah.
How far was Dublin from Warsaw?
100 kilometers.
Okay, so
70
it's
miles.
probably from us to Ann Arbor.
70 miles,
A little
Yeah.
more. than
60 miles.
Yeah.
Okay. And she went there to be a photographer?
Yeah, she worked.
She
Yeah.
worked as a
Okay.
photographer.
And I went to dressmaking.
And Edith?
Too young.
And she was too young.
Uh-huh.
She didn't even finish school.
Okay. She was too young then when the war broke out.
That's
Then-
right, yeah.
Then nobody worried about school.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And I had a bad life. In general, I had a bad life.
Until I came to the picture.
And how old were you when you met? Well, you said you kind of knew each other all along.
Right.
Well, we were in the same city. Everybody
Yeah.
knew each other.
Uh-huh.
It was a small town. Everybody knew each other.
Uh-huh. Okay, and then it's during the war that you actually, I don't know if you want to call it dating or...
Yes, yes, yeah.
We
In the camp.
get together a little closer, we talk
the
more
camp,
to each
yeah.
other, you
Uh-huh.
know. We see each other more often.
Me, my
Do you remember him coming to your house and, or to the shop and fixing machinery and stuff like that?
I remember him a few times, not much.
Okay, but it was nobody you looked at and said,
No.
that's
She
the
had
man
a
of my
boyfriend.
dreams.
Come on, she had a boyfriend before.
No, it's not.
She's not telling the truth, she had a boyfriend before. His name, what was his name?
Pietrek.
Pietrek.
Okay, anything else? Now, anything else about growing up or now, tell me how everybody fits in here.
In the
Now,
meanwhile, I'll tell you one thing. Meanwhile, my father remarried.
Okay, now here comes a whole new branch. I had enough trouble figuring out the first branch, now we're... Okay, when did he remarry? How many years after...
I don't remember.
Was it? How old were you when he remarried? Let's...
Who remembers this?
During the war, no, before the war.
During the war.
that was...
First of all, he married one and
But forget about this one.
Oh, he got divorced too?
yeah,
Oh, the divorce back then must have really been a big deal.
that's
Sure.
right, yes. Yeah. He said, she was an older girl, and she said that it's not for her. She doesn't want to be married.
She don't want to raise 3 children.
It was hard on her with 3 kids to
Uh-huh.
marry. There was nothing there either, you know.
Do you remember her name at all? Or?
Nicha.
Okay.
Then he remarried,
And so how long did that marriage last before
Not
the
too long.
divorce?
maybe a year, maybe less than a year.
Okay, and do you remember living with her?
Yes.
Okay, and how, was
Worked
she
very
good to
hard.
you? Was she...
She was not bad, but she was a different type. She didn't want any kids. It was not for her, let's put it this way.
Okay,
Then my father remarried again and married Suola.
okay.
Suola had 2 boys. There was another boy too, wasn't it? I think so.
Yeah,
Don't look at me, I don't know.
that was Abraham?
No.
No.
No, there was only one. I don't think so. That's only Abraham was the only one.
Yeah, but you had that one before.
Yeah, she came with Benyek. She came with Benyek to our place. Benyek was
So
her
this was
son.
a second marriage for her?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happened to her first husband?
Vanished somewhere during the war.
Oh, he vanished during the war.
Yes.
So this was, so when was he married to the Mima Suva? I remember her.
I don't remember.
Maybe
after the war?
1940. No,
Before the war.
No, 1940 probably.
Yeah.
He was born, wait a minute. How old was Boom, when you took him in 3 years?
I
When he
think
went into the camp.
3 years. He was 7 years old, no?
To the camp I'm talking about. Buma.
Woman was
Right.
2.5 years old.
2.5 years, so it was 42. They married in 1939 probably, right in the beginning of the war or just before the war.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, the first son was...
Okay, now we're talking about the marriage between Chaim
Sure.
and his third wife, who is the
Yes.
Mima Sugala.
Yeah.
Okay, and
She
she
brought us-
came with a son named Benyek, and we don't know what happened to Benyek's father.
No, we don't
Well,
know anything.
I mean, but how, did she get divorced?
Divorce.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
she was
divorce,
divorced to
yeah.
begin with. Okay. Was
He
divorce
came,
was
my
divorce
father-
pretty common then, or what?
No,
It
no.
must have been an unusual thing. that you had-
Unusual things, not divorce.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
she had a boy with my father,
Okay.
and the boy got sick.
Uh huh.
And
What was his name? Simcha.
Simcha, yeah.
Uh huh.
Like Sydney.
Okay.
He was so sick that they took him first to Radom and then to Warsaw.
And how old were you when they had their child? Simcha. How old would you guess?
16.
More than this,
17.
17.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
This child was so sick that my father sent me. It was already the war. Started the war already.
Uh-huh.
He was sick. And he sent me to help my stepmother. And he was so sick that we knew he was going to die. So we took him by boat from that place to Dublin. He died on the way. In order that I shouldn't put him and throw him in the water, my stepmother kept him dead with her the whole time till we went up the
She's feeding him,
Uh-huh.
she's breastfeeding him.
Uh-huh.
and I was there the whole time. I worked very hard with this boy.
Uh-huh. So how old was he when he died?
A year old.
Uh-huh. And what did he die of, you know?
He had water on his lungs and the whole thing.
Pneumonia.
There was no treatments for it that time.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It was already wartime.
He died in the same day when his father died.
What's it, Bata?
Father is the man that brings the baby to the
Oh.
breast.
Okay.
Nothing. All right.
Okay, and then how many years later did they have Abraham?
During the war already.
It was 1940 probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's for Abraham.
Okay, so Abraham was then their only child together.
Right.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any stories about living with the Mima Surala? So she actually more like raised you then, really?
Yes, yeah.
She really
But
is
I
kind of like
don't-
the mother you...
But I don't remember that she ever kissed me. That she ever loved me like a mother should love.
Uh-huh.
She was still a stepmother.
Uh-huh. Okay. Do you remember her as a
Good person.
good person? Did she care about you, you see? But
Yes.
not, was it more of a, you know, well, I'll care about you because you're my husband's children, but there wasn't a love that was...
I don't remember any love, actually.
Uh-huh.
Never.
Mhm.
But she was a good person. She tried her best.
Uh-huh.
She always used to say, how can I buy a pair of stockings when I have to buy 3 more for the girls?
Uh-huh. Okay, so she was a little resentful then of having to...
3 girls, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any stories about the sisters growing up? What Yidis was like?
We were
what-
fighting like cats and dogs, all of us.
Okay, pretty typical
Yes.
siblings.
Yes.
Okay, and how many years difference between you and Vittel?
2.
2 in all directions?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else about any of the sisters or
My-
anybody else you want to tell us about?
My sister was got married in the war with her
Bitch.
first husband.
Bitch.
Okay, Vittel got married to, and what happened to the first husband? He died?
He died in concentration camp.
Uh-huh. And they had a son by him? Or?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, and Edith, she met Ludwig
After the war.
Right.
After the war.
Yeah, right after the war.
after the war.
He was a soldier in the Polish army, but there were, you know,
Well, it was not, he was put in the Russian and it's fixed to the Polish army.
Polish
Uh-huh.
army.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to tell us about any of these guys? Now, how are we related? This is the big one.
Okay.
How are we related to Meyer Brenner?
Meyer
Eisenbrenner.
Eisenbrenner's mother.
Okay.
And Meyer was after Adina's sister.
Meyer
Mother.
mother. Okay. And that's the cut.
Second cut.